legends, welcome. Morning Mez here. I'm back with another of my over-explained Havoc 40 runs, so this is part of my Learn With Me series. Now before we get into the meat and drink of this video, just wanted to start with a big thank you to anyone who interacts with the channel, so you lovely viewers, my absolutely wonderful miscreants in my Discord, and obviously the people that I game with. There's been a lot of support and love that you guys have shown me on the first one of these, and I'm seeing the Discord grow, some engagement, all that kind of stuff, right? So just, yeah, from the bottom of my heart, I do appreciate you all. And thank you for the comments and feedback on the first of these videos. It will help me shape, hopefully, this one and more to come. Right, so that little piece out of the way. Actually, before I move on from that, I will say again, guys, I have created a Discord. It's open to the public. The only requirement here is that you're mature and you aren't a cunt, right? If you're those two things and you want to play more cooperative, cohesive Havocs, you're welcome to join. We have people from all sorts of time zones playing at all sorts of levels. Like I say, look, it's not where I want it to be just yet. However, it's growing, and if you want to be part of that, you're more than welcome to join. Okay, then. So on this one, we are playing the Dark Communion map, and our modifiers are Rampaging Enemies and Encroaching Garden. Just to cover briefly what the modifiers do, these will get more and more concise as I go on, just because I will probably repeat myself through various iterations of this sort of video. So starting with Rampaging Enemies, I'm going to read out from Cooley's guide. And can I just say, everyone looking to push into Havoc or looking to improve and refine their gameplay, big believer of knowledge is power, right? Slight worship to the feathered ones here. There's a guy called Cooley who's been making Steam guides for basically Fat Shark games since Vermintide. He puts out a wealth of information. Yes, you have to sit there and read, but it's nicely organized, and he covers a lot of the mechanics, a lot of the modifiers, what they do, all that kind of stuff, right? The Rampaging Enemies, the strapline here is that enemies are rampaging. They gained increased defense against attacks upon witnessing the death of an enemy. The visual indicator here is they're orange, and essentially you kill an orange enemy and it will spread this bolstered buff to enemies around it, okay? Now this stacks up to 5 times, and in a Havoc 40, you're hitting the 5 stacks of enemy buffs pretty fucking rapidly, as you can imagine. Just to give you some context of how impactful this is, so for elites, this gives at max stacks 25% DR, right? So you will be doing 25% less flat damage to the enemies that you fight. That's quite significant. In addition, trash mobs get up to 50% DR. So when we look at Rampaging Enemies, we understand that, well, the map's probably going to take longer because everything we're fighting is just going to have more tankiness, more resistance. They're going to be harder to kill. In addition, we're expecting more pressure from things like trash and elites and stuff like that. So we need to be aware of this. And the second modifier on this map is Encroaching Garden. Honestly, guys, I think this combination may be one of the potential worst ones in the game, because you have high DR enemies in combination with healing enemies, right? Super spicy, super difficult to play into. Just to read out what Encroaching Garden does, essentially the visual indicator here is they are purple or pink, but purple or pink enemies will heal the affected allies in proximity. So if you don't focus these purple bastards down, they will heal everything around them. As you can imagine, this in combination with rampaging is problematic, okay? And just to give you a context of what Encroaching Garden does, so the healing aura that the purple enemies have, it heals all enemies within 5 meters, and it ticks every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, okay? On unyielding enemies, they heal 1100 HP, right? On Kara, this is 800 HP. The number is a bit arbitrary. The point being is if we don't hard focus them, we're going to have constantly regenerating mobs just chasing our Heine. So going into this, we know that we need to hard focus purple enemies down, but we also know that the purple enemies are going to be harder to kill because we have rampaging enemies. All right, it's going to be a spicy one. Okay, so just looking at our team composition, We have Zaki here on what looks to be a lone wolf, break the line Arby. I'm a big fan of the Arby class, guys. Big fan. It's one of the more simple classes in the UK. There's a common saying, it does what it says on the tin. This is exactly what Arby does here. He's going to be living in the front lines. He's going to be putting out some pretty respectable damage. But most importantly, he's going to be flattening stuff, right? Whether it's with his melee attacks with his shield, whether it's with his ability break the line, or with the Arby nade that he's brought here. By the way, in parentheses, Arby nade, best nade, seriously underrated. It has good damage, incredible stagger, gives you 5 charges, and it regenerates with Lone Wolf. I mean, what's not to love, right? But yeah, so Zaki's role here is just a front line to relieve pressure, and more importantly, to create space. Access to the Arby nades also gives us the ability to, because they have such high stagger, we don't have a book seal here, but with Zark running this build, we can potentially ledge bosses as well. That's how great the Arby nades are. We then have Keg, who's running a Burn Psyker. This build is probably as meta as it possibly gets right now. And Keg's job here is really just to annihilate everything that he sees, right? He has insane damage. He has insane AoE. He runs the Seer's Presence aura. I just want to speak on this for a moment because I see far too many Psykers running Prescience. But the difference between the two auras is Seer's Presence gives the entire team 10% cooldown reduction, right? The strongest, most game-changing things in this ability are, in this game, are your abilities, right? Seer's Presence is just fucking incredible. By far the best aura, unless you have 2 Psykers, okay? So not only is he outputting damage, he's offering a decent amount of utility to the team just by reducing the cooldown of our abilities. So I think the way I've phrased this in the past is that Keg is our anti-everything guy. And he really, really very much is. He looks at stuff and turns it to ash. We want to keep Keg alive. He does a lot of damage. We then have Corvi Babes on a Skitty Boy. And Corvus is running Cord Claw, Medicaid Servo Skull, and Transonic Blades and a Phosphor Pistol. Honestly, a really, really strong build. Corvus's job here is just to output lots of damage, both in melee, but really to hard focus down purple, but also to hard focus down bosses. I've spoken a little bit about Cord Claw in the past. It's an intensely strong ability, arguably in its current state, maybe a little bit too strong, right? Because it does incredibly high damage with incredibly high uptime. You know, one of those two things probably needs pulling in slightly. However, in its current state, it's a anti-everything ability. It doesn't have the AoE that Keg brings. Nothing does in this game, right? However, it's an excellent tool to hard take down purple enemies and to absolutely tear the arseholes off the bosses that we face. All right, so he's playing basically a damage class. And then we have the wonderful Fairhu over here, the veteran, which is what I'll be playing. I'm running a Voice of Command with crack grenades and the ever useful ammo aura. Now my loadout is a little bit off meta, right? I'm running a heavy sword with a revolver. Now my role in this team is honestly to contribute in whatever way I can. I'm essentially there to help focus down specials and ranged elites, to fight in melee combat, to keep giving my team really valuable resources like ammo, to give them gold toughness, to help stagger enemies, all that kind of stuff. Essentially, within this composition, I'm as close to support as I can get, but my job here is to fight and to kill stuff, right? I'm also bringing crack grenades, and the reason I'm bringing cracks here is, well, 2 reasons. One, my loadout isn't fantastic into armor. I say that as the biggest understatement of the year, right? I'm running a revolver which has 5 bullets. P.S. Why not 6 bullets, Fat Shark? Please fix. But also a heavy sword, which honestly doesn't have great performance into armor. So cracks help sort of like shore up that weakness, but also cracks help us hard focus down the purple armored enemies from the Encroaching Garden modifier. So that's our team comp. It's a pretty strong one. It's a heavily melee focused one. And yeah, this was a really good game, guys. This was a really good game, so I'm looking forward to it. As per last time, the loadout piece will play in a second, and I will then like pause and talk about the decision making, the moment to moment positioning, all that kind of good stuff. Hope you enjoy it.
Not a killing.
I mean, that's true. When you're right, Keg, you know. But everything else is god awful. There's just one thing I will call out, just because I've just covered my curios here. Point blank, leaning into the weapon. Oh, I might have to sneeze. Just 1 second, people. Maybe hand cannon, so I can just like stand there. And it's gone away. Okay. In the face. The reason I'm not running revive speed is
point blank relies on you getting
I've taken combat ability regen instead. The reason being is I'm running revive shouts, which, by the way, guys, I cannot glaze this ability enough.
Yes.
Most of the time, it won't revive anyone. However, the number of times I've gotten a... Maybe turn the count down a tiny bit, guys. The number of times I've gotten a multi-revive shout off, and that has saved the run, makes it absolutely worth its weight in gold to me. If I'm running vets, I'm taking revive shouts. Because I'm taking revive shouts, look, I'm a big believer in stamina regen and things like that on my curios. It helps me stay alive, right?
It's a one-time deal.
My team were very keen on me running the, in total, 12% combat ability regen minor perks on my curios, so the trade-off here is I've dropped my revive speed. I don't recommend people do that unless you're running specifically this build and your team is aware of that, right? Because revive speed, for those people who aren't familiar, it impacts your ability to obviously revive people, but also free people that have been killed, so they're tied up and you're essentially rescuing them, but also pull people off ledges. It's one of those just fantastic utility curio perks in Havoc that I highly recommend everyone take. Ideally 2, maybe even 3 of. Just before we start here, guys, you can see, so we're approaching the section ahead, and for those unfamiliar with Dark Communion, this start section is probably one of the spiciest in the game, right? There's this, and then there's the bridge at the very end. But we see a shitload of rages, purple bulwarks, and crushes ahead of us. You actually just take a moment to look at the map composition ahead of us, right? So we drop down to the left. We then have this relatively large area, right? And this is where we typically want to fight and hold. Because when you start pushing forward here, firstly, it starts getting a bit narrow. And secondly, mobs come from, so there's a spawn door within this little house where it says set. I don't even know what that says. In this little house anyway, there's a spawn door here. Mobs will climb over the fence that you can just see just past Keg's right shoulder here. And they will also come from forward, they'll come from right side. If you push forward into the guts of this section, essentially you're opening yourself up to getting attacked from all sorts of different directions. And also, if you look here, there's not a great deal of cover, right? Not a great deal of cover at all. The best place that we like to hold is typically just after you drop, just this section here. Obviously, you push forward, you pull back, all that kind of stuff. But you'll see us drop and try and hold this area because we want to pick the best ground to fight on. I will also say that Dark Communion is one of these maps where I just don't know why. This start section, you seem to get shitload of bosses, right? And I mean like a shitload. So just be aware. When we drop, we're expecting pressure, and we'll try and hold the best ground that we can to fight on.
I like the other 2 abilities, but break the line offers too much.
It's so fun as well.
I don't think I've ever used Castigator stance.
It's very fun, very strong.
But it's not charged, man. I'm gonna fucking put on the Footnight Crew there. How could I play anything else? Alright, you can see here we've dropped. Guys, I've brought a heavy sword, which, as I say, is a little bit of a funky pick. But what it does do is cleave very well. And it does give me high damage into things like rages, into trash mobs. It helps me clear quite well, but with a very clearly defined weakness of it's shit into armor and not fantastic into unyielding as well. Together, my brothers. I hear a burst behind. Oh dear. And rages behind. But like I said, the build I'm playing, I'm using a revolver, which has high damage on headshots and crits, but I turn the volume down a little. But shit damage into basically body shots and on crits, yeah? So when I'm using this weapon, I'm taking surgical and point blank, which maximize my crit chance, but I need to use it as a bit more of a quick swap weapon. When I get when I get a melee kill, you'll see this is the symbol here that's actually just disappeared. It's a little revolver with a circle around it. That's the point blank blessing. It gives me 20% crit chance for a few seconds after a melee kill. What I'm trying to do here, my role, is to help anchor the front line. Whenever I'm positioned, you'll see me. I'll either be directly in the front line or slightly behind it, right? Because I'm playing vets. I don't have the really strong melee talents that, let's say, a RB or a Zealot or an Oggy might have, right? I don't have strong DR. That's one of the big weaknesses of the vet. Your biggest form of DR is one of your talents, which is called Iron Will. It gives you a substantial amount of damage resistance when you're above 75% toughness. The second I drop below that and I take a hit, I'm like paper, okay? This is where I want to be in close quarters combat because this is the playstyle, and realistically for vet players, this is where you should be for 90-95% of builds, right? You should be within strong coherency in close quarters combat. Havoc 40, and I've explained this before, is a game of resource management and attrition at the higher levels of gameplay. I can't sit at the back shooting all day. I don't have enough ammo to support that, right? What I want to be doing is using my melee weapon as much as I can, and then using my range weapon to pick the high value targets. And just to speak to high value targets, and again guys, I appreciate I've paused here for a bit, but just to speak to what I'm trying to focus on, so what I see and what I want to go after. Your most dangerous enemies in the game typically are going to be your pox bursters, just straight up first and foremost. With a revolver running a crit build with surgical, if I can headshot a pox burster from distance, it will just immediately detonate. If it's safe to do so, I will try and do that. What I'm also looking at are obviously your specialists. So you have two types of specialists. You have your disablers, so your nets, your dogs, that sort of stuff. You also have DPS specials. So we're talking here your gas bombers, your fire bombers, basically the right see you next Tuesdays within this game. My hard focus for this is going to be bombers, right? They cause so much problem when it comes to holding ground, and honestly, they're just way more detrimental than any other mob in the game. So the second I see a gas or a fire bomber, that's my highest value target. Now, because of the ability of pox bursters to wreck the entire team, I mean, like, if you don't have enough HP, guys, and you have no gold, and a burster hits you, you'll go down, quite simply. It also deals a lot of corruption damage. The bursters are like, you know, public enemy number one. I then think about the specials of all varieties, but with a hard focus on the DPS specials. Within that, by the way, DPS specials, we also include snipers. Snipers are very dangerous, yeah? You can see a laser here, so in my head I'm thinking, where is that sniper? How can I get him? Apart from that, it's things like Reapers, because they do so much damage. Reapers are very dangerous enemies, guys. If you can kill him early, you need to take him out quickly. Having a Reaper like it is here, just free firing into the team, is hugely dangerous. Like in this instance here, I'm seeing a Reaper ahead of me, I'm seeing sniper lasers. I'm hoping Zaki is going to stagger this little fucker so he doesn't keep firing at us, or I need to throw a crack at him, right? Those are the key target priors, and obviously defend yourself, yeah? If I have 1,000 rages in my face swinging at me, I need to focus on living and not getting chopped into tiny little mez pieces, right? Rather than shooting specialists. But in my head here, this is what I'm trying to focus on. One more thing. When you're playing Havoc 40s in a public group or even in a organized group, remember that the job of killing specials and elites, all that kind of stuff, is a shared team responsibility. One thing I hear from people having, you know, just talking about the game, maybe people who are slightly newer, they seem to think that there are really clearly defined roles. Yes, certain classes, certain builds, certain archetypes have a like strengths and weaknesses, right? So they lean more into certain areas. As an example, your charge or taunt doggy is going to lean more into close quarters combat, right? More into CC, more into that kind of play style. However, it's a team's responsibility to kill specials. Yeah, if you see, regardless of the class you're playing, if you see a gas bomber ahead of you about to throw, you deal with it. It's as simple as that. Now, because of the build I'm playing, obviously there's a bit more of an onus on me to take down the specials because I have a high damage, highly accurate ranged weapon. But like I say again, it's a team responsibility.
Reaper walking towards us.
Oh my god, your man is calling me again. This is a joke.
Dude, this is better. Just hide somewhere, mate.
So here you can see there's a lot going on, guys. But what I'm trying to do is take out the snipers when I can. Unfortunately, for fuck's sake, it is much easier if you can hit your shots, right? And you see that we just had a weak plague ogre spawn, so trigger. The first thing I did was check behind me. So in this section of the map, your bosses tend to spawn from behind you. So from the drop down where we came in, right? The walkway that we came in is also typically where you're going to get a shitload of specials. So the game likes to send bursters, games like to send trappers and gas bombers on that walkway behind you. And they will often stand up on top of the walkway and throw shit at your back, okay? So obviously we need to be aware of this. We need to make sure we take those out rapid. And because we've had a boss trigger here, guys, like I say, that whenever you get a boss trigger, you don't have to give ground, okay? Like, if you're in the right place to fight, stay where you are. What you shouldn't do, however, unless it's a niche circumstance where you are is super dangerous, you shouldn't advance. If you advance after getting a boss trigger, you run the risk of A, pulling more rooms ahead of you, so more mobs, ambient mobs and waves, but also, depending on where you are, you can trip another trigger, hey?
Probably.
So you get, you get a boss spawning behind you, you walk forward, you trip another boss trigger, and the game decides to throw twins at you. That's not fun times, eh? So like I say, you don't have to back up, but what you shouldn't do, in most cases, is advance.
Just watch out for the bot.
I've just remembered what happens in this map. Zaki's had to step away for just a couple of minutes to pick up a delivery. I will say, guys, reject consumerism.
Oh, I shot it!
JK, Darky. JK.
James, let's pull back a little bit.
So where we are now, look, we're sort of like in limbo at the moment. Zaki's out of the game. So what I've decided to do and what I've asked the team to do is just to pull back. Pull back to better ground to fight on. Pull back to where we have a bit more space. Now, in this situation, you can see the dangerous ranged elites aiming at us, so Reapers and ranged gunners. I'm trying to pick what I can while moving backwards. But again, for me, the most important thing is to fucking defend myself, yeah? Everything else is bonus. So what we're going to do here, guys, because Zaki's AFK, and we have a bot who's just died. Excellent job, Prothe, whatever your name is. If that even is your real name. And we're essentially just going to tread water, yeah? We're going to stay together, we're going to clear what comes, and we're going to try not to take any kind of damage. The problem is, you can see the game is treating this moment as as an opportunity to just throw an incessant wave of melee elites and specials at us. So this is actually quite a dangerous time. Sniper laser on my left. I need to make sure I don't get chopped to pieces by rages, but then I'm trying to hunt the sniper here.
Oh, I can't hit him.
I will say, guys, I fucking love the revolver. I wish it was better so that I wouldn't get judged so harshly for using it. But as a weapon and just how it feels to shoot and use, I'm a big fan. It is very unforgiving, however. If you're unable to, if you miss your headshots and if you don't wait for your crit stacks, yeah, it has some pretty god-awful breakpoints.
He's on right side, snipers.
It's also one of those that's relatively ammo inefficient. I mean, you only get 52 shots in totality. There are definitely better options for vets, but for me, this is the more fun one. Just while we're sort of just clearing shit and it's not huge. Ooh, quite a few purple rages to the right-hand side. You can see here, they're all in their attack animations. I'm not going to push into that. You give a little bit of ground, give some space, and then try and pop them in between their attacks. And the house ahead of us is chock-a-block full of gunners. I need to start working on that and dealing with that.
Gas. Behind us, yeah.
Real for fucking real with these spawns.
Ooh, some poor missed shots there, past Mez.
Fucking Gondor calls for aid. Where is he?
Gondor does indeed call for aid.
I know, right?
That was a lot of pressure thrown at us. I mean, like, we were fighting non-stop there for what felt like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. That's quite a long time, right? So we faced a lot of pressure. The team did really well to survive that and not give up too much health or all that kind of stuff, eh? Just to speak to nade usage in this team, so the 3 of us actually use nades. So Zaki, as I mentioned at the start, is a RB with impact nades. He regenerates his own nades. I'm a vet using crack grenades. I also regenerate nades. And Corvus is a Skitari with Medicae Skull. The nade priority should really be Corvus whenever he's low. So if he has like 2, maybe 1 skull left, he gets the nades. Otherwise, they're probably best used on me, just because of how strong cracks are. We've just hit a twins trigger here, guys, so we need to pull back, okay? And the reason, I mentioned it in the last video, the reason we pull back is twofold. One, we want to separate the melee twin from the ranged twin. It's much easier to fight when the floor isn't covered in lava. And the second point is, again, we need to pick better ground to fight on. If we stayed on the steps we were at, we would get swarmed.
Oh, I thought that was you.
Brother, there's more crushes coming.
Yeah. Zaki.
Zaki's back. Thank Odin.
The fucking ringer.
With all these things, look, our ideal goal here is to make sure we focus down the super dangerous melee elites, like Crushers and Maulers, the ones that can one-shot you. But we really want to get this melee twin down as soon as we can. And remember, 4v Babes has a claw, right, which does intense burst damage. The second we get her shield down, he can just tear her face off. So now the melee twin is dead. We then sort of resume our hold here, and we just want to clear the map, be as safe as we can, and then work down the ranged twin. And the ranged twin is super annoying because he throws fucking mines, and honestly, he's just a bit of a bastard, right? His plasma gun can stagger you repeatedly from distance. It rips your toughness, but he's not as immediately dangerous as the specials and the elites around us. You see here, we're sort of waiting for the attack window. We clear everything else to make sure it's as safe as it can be, right? So I'm talking here rages, talking here the disablers, talking here the specials, and then we work down the melee, the ranged twin. Oh, I love a hip fire headshot. That is, yeah, man, hard as a rock when you see that.
Do you remember this? Anything to say now?
Something changed.
Okay, so look, the team did really well. We stayed together, we got through a lot of pressure, and now we're reunited with Zaki, who's our, who's our frontline tanky boy. So what we're doing here, we're pushing the med room, and I will pause when we see the area ahead just to talk about a few things.
Nice.
I'll take this, thank you.
Alright. Okay. Just by the way, fighting that rager, that's a good example of how you want to fight ragers. It's all about spacing. So the way the rages work, if people have played Vermintide 2, they're similar to Plague Monks. When they start their, their chopping attack animation, they will send a flurry of attacks your way, and they'll take a step forward with each attack. You want to pull yourself out of that melee range and attack in between those attack chains. If you're less comfortable and less familiar, just back up, right? When they're in their attack animation, just block, just dodge away, right? And then deal with them after the attack animation's over. They're one of the more dangerous enemies because you get hit with 1, maybe 2 chops, especially on a vet, that's most of your health bar. Now, just to explain the area ahead, okay, so first and foremost, I didn't talk about respawn points back. In the section behind us, guys, we'll catch it next time we do Dark Communion. Essentially, just to provide just a little bit of context, where we held when we dropped down from that top bit, if we stay there, we get a really, really close respawn point. So if someone dies, they would spawn ahead of us on the right-hand side just before you go down the stairs, and we entered this section here behind us, okay? My point being is, if you stay towards the start of the map and someone dies, you get a very close respawn point. That's my miss, people. I'll make sure I catch that next time. But just to talk about what happens next then, okay? So we have this big open section, we then have some stairs leading up, and we progress the map by going right-hand side, okay? Now there's some loot to be had here. So there's a chest here, and I think there's a chest here. And this big wall at the back, enemies can climb over it. And the game likes sending your bombers, your trappers, all that kind of shit, hopping over this fence to rush at you. The way we like to approach this map is obviously in this section, we'll loot up, we'll heal up, when we're ready, we'll go. We push down this section here, we loot this area, and we will hold a bit just around here. So there's a poster that says, what does it say? I think it says do your duty, which is, I guess, okay. Very motivational, very life-changing, much wow. But we will probably hold just around here, / a bit behind it. The trigger point, and when I say trigger point, guys, I mean the potential boss trigger point, is at the top of these stairs. Okay, so like I say, we'll push down, we'll loot, we'll clear this area, we'll use this corner as our choke point. We'll trip the trigger, and then we'll hold in this sort of section and deal with what comes. The reason we hold here is, firstly, we have cover. If we hold just at the front, right in front of the stairs, this entire section ahead of us can shoot down at us with free line of sight. That's not good. That makes Big E sad, right? So we want to hold left side using this pillar as potential cover. Do be aware that this is a grate here. Snipers and gunners can shoot through this grate, so just be aware of that as a potential vulnerability. Yeah, I'll just hit play and we can see what happens. You can see here as well, resource-wise, I am struggling for ammo. I've had to do a lot of shooting. Part of that is driven by the fact that we couldn't advance, guys, because Zaki was AFK, so obviously we burnt more resources than maybe we would have. It's a bit of a, so what, shit happens, right? But I need to start picking up some ammo, and finding an ammo crate, fucking wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
What the fuck happened to that dog? Did you see it?
I mean, I didn't because it was fucking weird. What happened to me? Like, went back in the air.
Big ammo there.
Nice.
Mine?
Alright, you can see we're looting the left side, as I mentioned. Just watch out for the fucking Ninja Crusher hiding in the shadows. And there is nothing more satisfying than a dog headshot while it's mid-leap.
Oh, were you?
Mate, heavy sword just too good, man. I apologize.
No, you shot it. Don't even try to give me that. You shot
Zaki
it.
is telling straight blatant lies there.
Bro, you know I'm recording, right? Like, there's video
Yeah,
evidence.
you're gonna see that you shot that trapper.
The
as
world
I
just
was
witnessed me hitting that with a heavy sword and not shooting it. So that little trigger there, that was Sally. That is not the boss trigger, okay? So that is just based on time / number of enemies killed.
I apologize, Sally.
saw the light there.
And conventional wisdom in this game, guys, is isolate your threats, yeah? If you get a trigger, let's not pile shit on. Deal with that first, then push and deal with what comes next. Now, I know we're going to be holding this area for a little bit, so I've dropped the ammo crate just because we will find a use for
Oh
it.
no!
Keg just got hit by a sniper. I think everyone saw that.
Oh, Zark, I shot the flamer, sorry, bro.
That's alright. It didn't hit me.
closer than I would have liked, though.
That's okay.
Christ.
Okay, so now Cake's going to push up the stairs.
Corv, there's one
Going
more
to
here. Do
try
you
and
wanna
touch
take
the
it or do I
trigger,
take it?
of which there is none.
I will.
And we're all happy days, so we can push, we can advance.
Didn't even consider. It's like, no, man, you take it.
I will.
I mean, if you want it, just take it. Don't ask.
I'm being nice.
Alright, so the way I'm facing down, so when we approach this area, there's this, which is what we call the Tunnel of Love, despite the fact that none of us love it. So this has a big chest in here on the right hand side, but obviously it's a narrow area with just one way in and one way out. So wait, one way in, one way out, with two ways. You can obviously push forward or you can pull out of it. The problem is if you push into here, it's possible to get pinched, so just be aware of that. There's also a ramp to my right hand side, and I will let the game play to see if I can actually change the camera. Here we go.
Kind of on the edge today.
Ooh.
No, no.
What you're hearing, guys, is just a bit of banter, right? There's no teeth to any of this. We're just having a laugh. So this past this little barrel here, and going left, and another do your duty sign. We get it, guys. We get it. Some duty needs doing, but you have a ramp. At the very top of the ramp is your next respawn point. So if one of us dies in this situation, if we pull back to where we held before and we dealt with the Beast of Nurgle, we'll spawn at the top of this ramp, okay? Just be aware of that. So if one of us goes down, you'll see us use this. We'll pull all the way back to make sure we get a favorable respawn. If you fail this, guys, if you fuck this section up, I'm pretty sure the next respawn point is all the way up by the med station, so it's a little bit further away. Use this where you can. And I think conventional wisdom here, guys, is if someone goes down and dies, obviously when you know where all the respawn points are, you can understand how much to pull back, all that kind of stuff. But really, just start retreating. Yeah, it will never be a bad thing to pull back to try and get a closer respawn point. There is a mechanic in the game, however, where if you retreat too much, literally just by distance, the game will start spawning. I think it's a pack of bulwarks behind you. Look, I'd rather fight some fucking bulwarks and get my teammate up closer and get my 4-stack going, rocking and rolling sooner than not. So if someone dies, start retreating. I'm also pretty sure that there's a potential trigger point at the top of the ramp, but we'll see what comes here,
You're all
guys.
edging today. I don't know why.
I wish I
Well,
was.
One other thing I'll mention, this entire building section
Isn't that what it
here
means?
that I'm walking
Everybody's kind
towards
of on the
now,
edge? You're all
Yes.
edging.
I see a lot of
Correct.
people holding here.
Oh my.
Don't hold in there.
See?
It's not a good place to fight. It's very easy to get pincered and stuck. And you saw there was the trigger. So we have a plague and we have a captain. So what we're trying to do here is obviously pick what we can, but the safest place for us to fight is the place with cover and the place that we have a potential choke point. And that's where I'm stood right now, okay? But again, with all these things, clear back,
I'm at the back here.
pick your grounds, deal with the threats. I'll also just mention, whenever you get a captain and a boss, like a monstrosity spawn together, because of how inherently tanky captains are, because of the shield mechanic, the shield, basically, it has a damage cap. But if I was to charge up a fucking crit full thrust thunderhammer attack on Sarg the Somnolent,
Just shoot.
what a fucking word. Somnolent, by the way, means sleepy. But yeah, if I was to hit his shield with basically one of the highest damaging attacks in the game, it would still do a max predefined amount. It will not take his shield all the way down. So because of how inherently tanky captains are, even ones that heal with Garden, so he has the purple effect on him, you're always better off, in my mind, taking out the monstrosity. Captains are also not that dangerous, bar the sword captains. But my point being is they don't do AoE damage, they don't do significant AoE damage. They also don't forcibly reposition you like certain bosses can, like Plague Ogrins, like Chaos Spawns, all that kind of stuff, right?
I will get the ammo anyway.
Also, just as another little bit of intel for you guys, if you're playing an Encroaching Garden map, every single captain will have the Garden buff, right? So every single captain will be purple. Thankfully, they don't heal themselves. I mean, could you imagine people? Can you imagine the captain healing himself while his shield's up? Oh, fucking diabolical. Thankfully, that doesn't happen, so he'll heal everything around him. However,
I thought I killed someone.
like I say, I would still much prefer to kill the monsters with him than to focus the captain.
I've run out of bullets. It's for Zark.
Just because they're too damn tanky.
What? How dare you, sir?
We're currently in the tunnel, where we've been forced back because of gas and the like. It's no worries to hold the tunnel, but notice how we're fighting. 2 are holding forward, 2 are holding behind. We cannot get pinched there, right? And this is the way that we dealt with
What
it.
is this, man? Oh, don't shoot it, please. Oh my god.
Almost did, mate.
I know. Someone shot it. There's big ammo here.
Now when the gas clears, guys, I'll talk about the section ahead.
I knew he was
You
gonna go
promised to
through.
use them responsibly, though.
Use it responsibly.
Yes.
I am not that responsible, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, mate, I stood in front of that.
well, the sniper.
Yeah, you dodged.
Okay. So the section ahead of us is, can we get a bit closer? It might be a bit clearer. And he's turned right around immediately. Okay, here we go. Right, so the section ahead of us. So there's a ramp that leads up. There's a big, like, open bit to the left-hand side. And the way to progress the map is up the ramp and to the right. We also have a med station right here. Now we can see that Keggy Boy is on 1 wound, so we're aware of this, yeah? However, we also know that the respawn point is very close. It's literally just behind us. So if the worst should happen and he dies, we know we can get him up close, okay? But what we want to do here is basically pull with all these things. We want to pull everything that's ahead of us, pick the dangerous targets, deal with it, and then take the space. Now, there is a lot of loot to be had on the left-hand side, so we do want to make sure we loot that. However, unless there's something stopping you doing it, I would advise against just jumping up here. The reason being is this open space, it opens you up to a lot of gunfire from the range mobs, and typically there's quite a few of them ahead of you. What we like to do is use these sorts of corners here as your choke points. We'll use them as cover, we'll pick, we'll pull what's ahead, we'll retreat if we need to, and then we'll deal with the wave of shit that comes at us. Just one thing I will call out, you see this little railing thing to my right-hand side, yeah? Snipers that are positioned up high in this section, they can aim through that. Just do be aware. If you see a red laser, it might be coming from this side. And just while we're sort of just... Oh, it's a lot of shotgunners. You can see how dangerous that'd be if we didn't have cover to hide behind. Yeah, so we can use this corner. And I'd always encourage everyone, even if it's a melee fight, just position yourself. You, like, create choke points for yourself. It's so much safer. It allows you to deal with nets. It allows you to push bursters with a lot more safety. And give ground, guys. Yeah, if you need to, if you're facing pressure, give ground. And it should be one of the first things you think about. Like if I'm taking a melee fight, if I'm taking any fight, and I see a big wave of elites, my first thought is, can I escape if I need to? And if I can't, I'm not fighting them, I'm moving, right? Your positioning in the ground that you fight on is as important as anything else in this game, if not more so. Particularly in your Havoc 40s where, let's be honest now guys, the director throws a lot of shit at you, eh? And also, in addition, when you think about the ground that you're fighting on, what happens if enemies attack you from behind? Yeah? If you're not able to deal with that, you're in the wrong place.
Reaper stairs.
Reaper stairs.
I'm just going to pause here very briefly. So we have a med station with 2 charges, so Keg is going to grab one of those immediately. Because the rest of the team is pretty healthy, we'll probably hold 1 charge. And what we mean by that is essentially we'll advance, we'll try and like deal with some of the dangerous threats in the area ahead. And if someone takes some damage because bullshit happens or a mistake, whatever, we then have a bit of a safety net with 1 charge on the med station behind us, okay? Also, just to take a quick stock of what resources we're carrying. So we have a red stim for Keg, we have a red stim for Corvus, and we have a green stim for Zarky. Ideally, because of the class I'm playing and the ability that I have, I want a yellow stim. And I'll cover it super briefly, so for those that are unfamiliar. Green stims should be used to clear wounds, right? So they'll heal your health up until the next wound. Use them unless you're in a fucking your ass is hanging out moment. Just use them to clear wounds, please, right? Your red stims give you additional damage and additional rending, so better damage into armor. This is best placed on high burst or high AoE characters. So in this instance, Keg, if I have the chance, I'll always give the burn psyker the red stim. The amount of AoE damage the man can put out, and then you throw in the fact that you can then increase effectiveness into armor. It's an almost delete tool. It's super, super strong. Feed your psyker, a burn psyker at least, red stims. And because Corv, we have a spare red, Corv can either use that to accelerate the burst that he can do. So if we need a boss or a captain or something dead rapid, like super, super pronto, he can pop that red stim and just tear its soul out. All right, and the yellow stims, the one I'm looking for, and they'll increase your ability cooldown rate, so you can get your ability faster. Because I have revive shouts, I can give gold, I can stagger, I can revive people. I want the yellow stim. So this next section that we're approaching here, guys, this is a dangerous section, okay? Thankfully, it's not a rituals map, but if you're playing a heinous Ritz on Dark.com, this is crunch point. This is where you can get some bugged Ritz, and this is where you need to be hyper aware. But what we'll essentially do here is we'll peek, we'll push, we'll peek what's ahead, and if we need to, guys, we do not fight in this little stairwell. A rule of thumb for Darktide and also for Vermintide, stairs are fucky, huh? So we learn 3 things about stairs from previous games. Stairs go up, stairs go down, and stairs are fucky, right? For some reason, enemy attacks like running overheads and stuff like that, they just act weirdly on stairs. They seem to travel further, they seem to have more AoE. Whatever it is, they're just more dangerous. Additionally, bursters, because of the geometry of the stairs and some, I guess, some weird spaghetti coding by Fat Shark, they're just dangerous. Try not to fight on stairs if you can. Even if the stairs wasn't here, this is a very narrow area with just one way forward, one way back. We could get pinched. My point being, if there's a lot of shit ahead and we can't push into it, I want the team to come back and fight in this open space, not to linger on this stairwell. All right?
Grenades here. Hello there.
Reaper in there.
Also, people, I said it at the start, but look, I'm a little bit blown away by some of the comments, especially from people I haven't seen comment on the channel before, on the first video of these. So, truly, very, very appreciative, very, very grateful. It seems like my fears of talking too much in this were slightly unfounded. And, guys, it's never easy to try a net new format, you know? So I'm just going to roll with it. When I think there's something worth mentioning, I'm going to say. But like I say, I do appreciate your feedback. If I trend too hard one way, let me know and I can rein it in, yeah?
I'm not kidding, guys. This is way more effective than I thought it would be. First then.
I do want to make a point about the build I'm using. Guys, I'm using this because I'm a lunatic and I find it fun. Yeah, this is not a... I'm going to say it in inverted commas because I think there's a lot more variance to the meta than people would have you believe. I'm going to pause here very briefly. I'm using this loadout because I think it's fun. However, I would not encourage everyone to use it until they are obviously comfortable, familiar with the game, and also they find it fun. Fun is a mad subjective thing, is it not? Using, for example, a shovel, a dueling sword, a power sword, basically any other melee weapon is probably a better call, and using a ranged weapon which with much higher uptime, much better breakpoints and better ammo efficiency is probably a good call. So I'm thinking here like a plasma gun, I'm thinking here like a bolter. If top tier performance is what you're looking for, don't run this loadout, okay? And one thing I do want to mention is just behind me, guys, we passed a spawn door. I wonder, I might actually go back very slightly, guys. So this door ahead of us here, be careful. For some reason, the game chooses to spawn A, a lot of stuff, but B, 100 bursters. The game director literally goes, I cast 100 bursters and they'll all come through this door. So as you approach it, as you move past it, just do be aware. This is a potential danger zone. Danger zone.
You're there making fun of my calls, and you almost killed the team.
Your calls.
Fucking hell, Zaki. Bit dramatic, mate. Reaper stairs.
On a big ammo. Just fill up this.
All right, so this next section. Oh, good Christ. Okay. Yeah, that was a misinput. I slid down in my exuberance to, I think, loot or shoot something, and I'm now at the bottom unexpectedly with a rager, a purple rager, showing me his armpits, ready to chop me into little pieces. What's worse, guys? I'm holding a fucking crack in my hand, right? I've dropped down into an unexpected situation. I need to get rid of this crack and get my melee weapon out ASAP. Worth noting as well, I've got 0 bullets in my gun. This is not ideal. This is obviously a mistake. I've fucked up here. I need to defend myself, take as little damage as I can, and I hope my team comes down and saves me and follows up with some pressure, like some stagger or something like that, you know? In a perfect world here, Zaki drops down and charges this fucker off me. But obviously, look, I've caused this. This is my issue. I just want to speak a bit about this room. So we've just dropped down. We have a boss trigger ahead of us. So literally come out of this room, slightly to the right up the stairs, or just push forward to the left, and there's a boss trigger. This is obviously a dead end, guys. We've just dropped in here. This is a dangerous place to fight. However, this is the best of a bad bunch because we have a choke point. Enemies can only come in through this door, or they can drop down behind us, right? So this is typically where we hold in this section. We are fully aware it's not the best place. It's not the ideal place, should I say. However, for us, it's the best of a bad bunch. So this will likely become our hold point. We need to clear this room. We then need to push out a little bit, clear what we can, pull what we can, and then trip the trigger and fight it in this room. Oh my days, look how much look at the state of my health bar. This is all my own mistake, right? Yeah, you see how badly things can go wrong and how quickly. So Zaki's just tap trigger, and it's a captain, so 1 captain on the way. Because it's a garden map, guys, we know he's going to be purple. Okay, so he's going to be healing everything around him. What we're trying to do is just relieve some of the pressure ahead of us, kill whatever specials that we can, and then we're now holding around this choke point. This room that we're in, guys, is not a bad place to drop a medkit if we so need.
What do you want me to do? Is that a roof on the
So
stairs?
the captain is here,
No, exactly.
and we can see that he is a club boy, which just means he is by far the least dangerous variant of captain. Just watch out, as you can see behind us, loads of mobs have dropped in, so we need to be aware of that.
That's that.
First.
Oh, look, I'm just going to pause here for 1 sec. Guys, you see this terrain? I also need to close my curtains. The sun's come up and I cannot see a fucking thing. Just 1 sec, peeps. Oh my god, my vision has been restored. All right, just one thing I want to call out in this room. So firstly, one thing, many things I want to call out. You see this lip here that Zark is now stood on top of? This will block your pathing. It's horrendous. It is absolutely horrendous and incredibly detrimental to the player when you're trying to fight around a choke point here and you get stuck on this fucking lip. Just be careful, guys. Be aware of it. You actually have to walk up the little moundy bit. You try and dodge into that, you won't go anywhere. Just be aware of that. Also, you see how many trash mobs have sort of spawned in? They're all dropping behind us. I also wanted to mention that specials, so snipers, bombers, all that kind of bullshit, can spawn above us from behind. The stairs that we came down in, where I slid down like an absolute fool on a banana skin, snipers and dangerous specials can spawn up there as well. So as we're fighting, obviously dealing with the threats ahead and trying to clear the trash that spawned behind, we're also thinking, if we see a laser, if we hear a bomber, he could be behind up top.
I'm pushing.
I'm looking at this situation, I'm looking at our health state, and I'm looking at the med kit thinking that's quite appealing. However, ahead of us we have a med station, so obviously if we can hold the resources, let's try and do so. No one's in immediate danger, we're not under a lot of pressure right now, so ideally we hold that med kit.
I got him. Is there any safe? Oh, yes.
Yeah, right here.
Just another thing I want to mention, look, when the room is full of gas, unless you're super unlucky and there's lots of gas bombers, there will be safe zones. If your teammate is like in the gas trying to move out of it, just tell him where to go. You know, where is there no gas? Where can he breathe freely away from Nurgle's farts?
I'm going to rest it.
Yeah, so I've just called it out here. I will pause ahead because the next section can also be dangerous. Right. That is actually a pack master that has just triggered to spawn and come at us. This entire section ahead of us, guys, is quite dangerous. It's a long corridor, typically filled with lots of elites, either melee or ranged. So when we push up here, we want to push together. We don't typically like to push left side, even though there's nothing wrong with it. It's just as a team, we just don't. Call it superstition, call it habit, whatever you want, right? So what we're doing here is that we've seen the boss trigger. We've seen that there's not a lot of stuff that we can take out. So we just want to pull back to the whole point, and deal with the pack master together. Now the pack master is an interesting boss because he sort of is dangerous and isn't, right? Like as an individual, he's not that bad. You can learn his attack patterns and basically dodge all of his attacks. However, if he hits you, he rips your stamina regen. And when you have this stamina debuff, it makes your life just awful. Like seriously, it is terrible. He's one of those like pseudo high threats. Yeah. He also has the ability to reposition you quite horribly. Similar to a Plague Ogrin, this lad, this Tusky boy, will charge at you and will fucking yeet you miles, right? So when he charges, do make sure you block. You can't dodge that attack, okay? You must block the charge. But once you deal with that, and provided you don't get hit with a stam the stam debuff, he's not too bad.
Packmaster, boys. Packmaster, just back to room.
You can see I've called out, pull back.
Usually he just...
Oh, something's happened to Keggy here. All right, I'm just going to pause here quick, right? So my shout is 1 second away from coming up. Corvus has just called out that he's put the skull on Keg. However, you can see we have... Guys, this area was clear literally 5 seconds ago, hey? Look how quickly it changes. Look how dynamic the game is sometimes. So Corvus has put his skull, so he's skull fucking Keg right now. And we can see Porridge, the pack master, with his shiny cattle prod. He's fucking charging straight at us. Now I have two options. I have my shout on a 1 second cooldown. I have revive shouts. I could shout and get Keg up and give everyone some gold. However, Corvus already sent his skull out, yeah? The skull is already, you can see it here, it's already rezzing him. My better move here is to wait for Keg to be up and try and layer the ability. Corv revives him, I then try and provide some safety so Keg can retreat. When he gets up here, if we just leave him, the poor lad, even though he has a small window of like spawn immunity, he's going to get absolutely hosed down here. We're going to put him at a lot of risk, and the man is now on 1 wound, yeah? We don't really want to be fucking around in this situation. So my choice here should be to try and pick what I can. Big shout out to that fucking Reaper there. That guy's dangerous, yeah? I need to sort that fucker out. And then shout for Keg to try and cover his retreat rather than to try and revive him, because someone's already doing that. There he is. And shout. There we go. Right, we have a dangerous situation. We have elites. This is where we should start utilizing the resources. And the team's done exactly that, right? I just want to call that out. Look how fucking pro these boys are. Look how slick they operate when shit hits the fan, yeah? It's in these moments that it matters. Make a decision and fucking back it, right? Yes, it's better to hold the resources for the opportune moment. You'd argue that this is an opportune moment, right? The Kegs was in trouble, and then 2 seconds later, we're back in the hold together. He's been green stimmed, so he has full wounds. We have a med kit down. Ideally, the med kit's down at the back of the room, not the front, but that's a bit of a so what. And now we can actually deal with what comes. Now, depending on what comes, this could be a slight overreaction, but I have zero problem with the team doing what they just did. I think that's fucking wonderful to see.
Another burst.
Another one.
Push.
He pushed me in.
You see, in this sort of situation, we have Porridge, who is running around trying to chop people and poke people with his cattle prod, but the highest priority target in this situation is always going to be your bursters, what we talked about before. The burster comes like here. It doesn't matter about anything else, seriously. Like, defend yourself is your primary objective. Always defend yourself, but bursters, public enemy number 1. Now we have another boss that spawns, so this is a time / I'm just going to call it a time trigger for ease, right? We have a chaos spawn. We're in a hold. We're fucking resourced up. We're together. He stands 0 chance. So you can see how quickly the game state changed. It went from calm to, oh shit, we're a man down and can we recover him, to we're now resourced up and we've dealt with all the threats, right? You need to move quickly. You need to react quickly.
Why am I alone? Where are my friends?
Went the other way.
Of course they do.
So I can see based on the class icons that Zaki and Corvus got a little bit isolated. I think what happened here is Zaki strayed a bit out of position and Corvus went with him. It's exactly the correct thing to do. If you need to split off and you see your teammate isolated, go with, yeah? You're better off as a 2 rather than as a single. If Zark's alone, he gets trapped or dogged, the man's fucked, right? You'd rather split off into 2s, try and protect each other, and then come back together. There's also a piece here, guys, and I'll maybe talk too much about it this game, but it's a piece that comes from playing with people you're more familiar with. And this is where, look, if you're looking to learn and really learn and accelerate your climb through Havoc ranks, try and find people wanting to coordinate. Yes, guys, it's not as easy as just going on the party finder and just clicking accept or decline. Yes, it requires a bit more work, you know, but your end game experience will be so much better. I trust these boys, eh? And we all found each other out in the wild. You know, we were playing solo pug Havoc 40s, and that's how we all met. The game, for me, the game experience is so much better for having started a community and started a group that I run with some regularity than it was before. I firmly believe that. Not saying you have to, I'm just sharing what has enriched my Darktide experience, yeah? And I'm a fucking beta player with, what, like 3,000 hours in the game. Yeah, I wish I'd done this way sooner. I spent probably 80% of my game time, maybe more, solo pugging 40s, boys. Yeah, the suffering was real. Just while we're sort of clearing trash, I've completely glazed over the fact that we're an event. I'm just going to pause here. So we cleared the room before, we grabbed resources, we grabbed healing, and we're now in this event. And this is a really, really long event, guys. So you're in a massive room, which I think is called the fermentarium. So they ferment shit, evidenced by these gigantic barrels positioned around in these big old vats. You're essentially locked in this room. So the way to progress is there's a big old wooden door here. Just come out here and turn to the right. And you need to stay in here until that door is busted down, okay? The key thing to watch out for this event is you can see here it says ambush, right? You want to be staying in this room as long as the ambush is active. So the way this goes is we choose to hold basically where I'm at, right? We choose to hold here. Yes, it's a dead end. Yes, we're surrounded by mobs, but it's the best of a bad bunch in this room. We just need to be hyper-focused on making sure we kill the bombers, so fire bombers, gas bombers, all that kind of stuff, rapid, and that we don't get gunned down by ranged. However, I digress. So the objective here is to stay within this room while we face the slowest and kind of the most boring ambush known to man. And then what happens is at the end of the event, so after some time has elapsed, a monster, a boss will trigger and it will smash through that door, thus opening the path forward. And what can happen with the advent of time-based triggers is you can sometimes get a weakened monstrosity that spawns and smashes through this door early, and obviously you fight it. You run the risk if you push out of the room then of having to deal with all the shit that's ahead of you, like you pull the room ahead, right? But also you can sometimes bug out this event. So my advice to everyone, stay in the room until the event is over. And you'll know the event is over because this ambush will change to something like slay or kill the monstrosity. Okay, so that's how you know you can progress. Yeah, we choose to hold here just because it gives us the most amount of cover, but we fully understand we're backed into a corner, which means if we get gassed or, like flamed out, we need to push out of this space, just to reposition slightly, but then we'll come back to it.
Gunners.
Case in point, so we've had a time-based trigger happen. So a plague is on the way. He will smash through that door, but this is not the signal for the event being over.
Pizza.
So there's ooh, that's a lot of shotgunners, guys. One thing I will say as well is, oh, look at that. That is dangerous. So we use the pillars, we use the barrels to try and dodge some shots and give us a little bit of cover. If you face tank that number of shotgunners, because what was that, like fucking 20, something like that? If you face tank that number of shotgunners, you're going to go down. They deal a lot of damage. And this whole point that we're at, you see we're gassed out. Oh shit.
I can't get
Far
this yet.
boys all the way up back there.
Alright, I can get them.
Alright.
Zark, be ready?
Sorry guys, I trailed off slightly, some stuff's happening.
Gas it.
So Zark unfortunately pushed forward when we pulled back. I mean, I understand why. He thought he was gassed out, he didn't know there was safety behind him, so he shoved forward. But he isolated himself and he got gunned down. The beauty of Revive Shout is that we didn't panic, eh? Just because he's down doesn't mean we have to react immediately. He's still quite close to us, so we made sure we were safe. We pushed forward together. I got in range and Revive shouted him up. Now this gas is going to clear in a second, so we're going to go back to our hull point and again continue the fight. Just while we're looking at the room from this angle, you see this door to my to my right hand side, but left if I was facing the other way. And this is a spawn door, right? So we're dealing with threats to the right hand side if we're in the hull point, but also watching out for this spawn door on our left.
That ridiculous amount of gunners in the middle.
Most enemies in this section will spawn in the rafters and drop down, or they'll come out the spawn door to your left, or just straight ahead of you in the tunnel.
This
he
one's
threw it
still
again.
throwing it. I'm
Where
going
is he?
for him, I don't care.
He's by
Do
the
it, mate.
elevator.
I mean, this is a good example of just how detrimental these fucking gas bombers can be, right? And I do have a request if, I don't know, fucking hell freezes over and a fat shark employee with decision-making abilities ever watches one of these.
Event's not over
Guys,
yet.
why do
It's
the
time.
AoE effects last for nearly 20 seconds? That is way too damn high. You could halve the duration of fire and gas and have a much more dynamic, less sloggy game, right? Even if it was reduced down to, I don't know, 12 seconds.
Overhead.
Such a huge relief. Having gas last for 20 seconds, guys, I think the actual number is like 17 or 18 seconds. It's too damn long. Considering the numbers they spawn into, it's just, yeah. I sincerely hope they change that.
Another bomber spawn.
I will also say, guys, looking at Darktide, Havoc 40 experiences, all that kind of stuff, this is a tough game to play. And you're going to see people online who are like, you know, RR, it's too fucking easy, all sorts of stuff. I solo it with my fucking cock in my hand. Just ignore these people. There are very few games out there that require you to coordinate and hard focus
This is
for
maybe the spiciest I've seen this
30,
weekend,
40, 50 minutes, right? Because you make one mistake in these sorts of sections and you get clapped, and you feel the impact that has on your chances to succeed, right? Because like I said at the start, this is a resource attrition-based game at the higher levels, you know? You making a mistake means that you're using more resources, which, you know, consequently impacts your success rate. It may only be a small amount, but it's still there. There are not many games that make you hard focus for this long. In this environment with this level of like mechanical input. It's a tough game. I feel like the game could benefit from being just slightly faster, and the detrimental effects like fire and gas and blight, they just need tuning down slightly, you know, just purely for the sake of our hands, the sake of our sanity, but also the sake of the game's state. Right guys, sorry, I went on an unexpected rant there, but I stand by that.
Pick the ammo, boys.
This one.
Oh, okay.
Right, so we've dealt with the events. The entire time I was fucking rabbiting on there. I'm pretty sure the last boss spawned in, it was a Beast of Nurgle. We tore it to pieces. We now can push forward, loot the room ahead, and take some space. Quick watch out. This gate, what just happened there, if you're too close to it when that burst explodes, it will hit you. Alright, so you hear a burster, back up, let it pop. Nice shot.
some nades here. Do you need any core? Or you good?
What we're thinking as we approach this, and I'm looking at our ammo,
Sniper
right?
behind.
Our ammo is not healthy, but we do have an ammo crate. The next section is the bit just before the end event, and it can be one of the more spicy sections in this map. Now, what we're trying to do here, guys, is so essentially the way we progress. There's a lift behind us. We get in the lift, we go up, and we then clear this top section ahead of us, right? When you first come out of the lift, there is very, very little cover. And it's one of those crunch moments in this map where you can get hugely pressured. What we're trying to do here is just, all it takes is a couple of bullets. Just shoot some of these mobs that line the walkways, that line the bridge. Because what it will do is it'll aggro them, and it'll force them to come from my right-hand side. So they'll all literally just come running down through the mysterious, wonderful walls of Darktide, and they will come and try and spawn over this fence to the right, which means that we can relieve the pressure. We're trying to thin out the herd to relieve the pressure from the next section because we know it can be spicy, right? So a couple of bullets, pull what you can, kill the elites, and then we advance. And you will see just how much shit spawns in a second, right? You will see. I'd much rather fight it here than in the next section.
First.
What we've done is pull all the elites, allows us to essentially deal with them in a really clearly defined choke point. And I mean, that alone was a lot of stuff, but it's not even done yet.
This side, Crusher. Two of them.
But just while this is going on, it's, you know, we're just really clearing stuff. I want to talk a little bit about the usage of voice of command. So voice of command is low cooldown. It allows you to stagger enemies in a radius, and this will free enemies from like kill spawn grabs. It'll push bosses back a little bit. It's a fucking fantastic ability, right? But more importantly, it will also give everyone over toughness. So it restores toughness, and if you then hit the max amount of your allies' toughness, they will then have gold, which is great. Gold toughness is an absolute lifesaver in Havoc 40 runs and adds a lot of comfort for you going forward. I'm going to pause just for the next section when we get to the top, just so I can finish this point, right? Even with Revive Shout, guys, even though I'm running Revive Shout, my usage of voice of command is primarily to stagger enemies. So if a crusher, if a mauler is winding up and about to squish one of my teammates, I want to knock him over, right? That's a fantastic use of voice of command there. I want to sort of use it as close to cooldown as I can, just to keep my team healthy within reason, right? Obviously, if you're not pressured, don't use it, right? However, I basically want to be keeping this up as much as I can, just to feed myself and my team gold toughness. Even though I'm running Revive Shout, I'm not going to be holding this. I'm not going to be trying to hold a voice of command in my pocket, planning for failure. I'd much rather be proactive with the ability usage and help my team not go down in the first place. Now, there are some situations, for example, someone's been split off and we know they're going to go down. So obviously, in that instance, I'll hold my VOC until I can get close and revive them. But typically speaking, with your abilities, guys, with all your kits, with the way you load out and stuff like this, try and be proactive with the ability and try not to plan for failure. Try to be proactive rather than reactive. Now, the big standout that is in contrast at this point is taking revive speed on Curios. The reason being is your strength is significantly greater with 4 people than it is with 3, 2, or 1. Also, just because this instance here, just because Zaki has 1 wound, he still deals 100% damage. He still deals 100% stagger. He just has the potential additional risk of having less HP, right? If I can revive someone and maintain my 4 stack, maintain us at peak, essentially, output, that is incredibly strong. in my head, that is one of the only planning for failure perks or abilities or kit choices that really is always a must take for me. Everything else, and this is why I typically in my builds build toughness and stamina, because I want to proactively improve my chances of survivability rather than stacking wounds and relying on my teammate to res me when chances are they might not be able to, right? That's my little speech on that. So yeah, looking at this next section then, so this is the start of a very, very dangerous area, okay? You come out the left, you see how clear this area is now because we pulled the elites down towards us, right? So what we have here, we have a med station with 2 charges. We also have a green stim here that we can utilize. So in this instance, because Zark is on 1 wound, I'd like Zark to go over and heal, leaving 1 charge, which will probably hold. Looking at the area ahead of us, it's very open, it's very clear. Like I said, if we hadn't pulled this section and there's like, let's say there's fucking 5 Reapers just lined this walkway, you could get hosed down in this lift. Yeah, that's how bad it can get. There's no cover for you. What do? You don't have a book zeal to push, you're fucked. If you don't have smokes, you're fucked, right? That's why we pulled the section towards us. The best hold point is literally behind this pillar here on the left-hand side. The reason being is it's the only area with cover. Now, just to speak to where enemies come from, so they will flood down this ramp, but they will also drop down. See this little walkway here where my cursor is now, just by these spiky teeth? Enemies will drop down here and they'll flood down there. That's typically where most of the enemies in this section spawn. We're also thinking in our heads that this ramp here, that's our next boss trigger. Okay, so what we want to do is we obviously want to create a hold here, pull what we can, kill what we can, advance to the trigger, trip it, and then pull back. Yeah, I will also call out though, you see there's no size to this ramp. This means that with a book zeal or a RB with chorus, we can quite easily ledge bosses on this bit. You can ledge, just for clarity guys, you can ledge Plague Ogrins and Chaos Spawns and Demon Hosts with quite easily. Beasts of Nurgles are immovable. Sally be a chunky girl, you ain't moving her. And also Porridge the Packmaster. He just has really high stagger resistance, as in like you can stagger the man, but he doesn't really move anywhere. He takes a tiniest little stagger step, so it's very hard to ledge him. But if the trigger is tripped and we get a plague or we get a spawn, we'll probably try and ledge it off the sides with the RB impactnators. And just thinking about respawn points for the next section, so where you see this tank, just past that tank there, that is where we can collect our fallen brothers and sisters, okay? So we're trying to think of all these things. If we push and someone dies, we hold at the back and then we can collect them just here.
One more
Green here.
My advice to all of you, take your time with this section. Yeah, take your time. Don't push too early, don't push too hard. Don't be afraid to give ground and come back to this hold point. I think this is the first time in my life that I've ever been doing this much talking this early in the morning. I hope I'm making some kind of legible sense and not rambling too much, eh?
Yeah, I got one. Another one. Here a far boy somewhere.
Probably spawned above.
Oh, one more thing I want to mention is use your pings, eh?
Ooh,
Your pings will help you pick targets out of a mob, a horde. For example, if I ping a sniper, I can see the outline. It's easier for me to hit it, even if I can't actively see it with my eyes, right? I can see the outline, even if there's mobs ahead of him. Yeah, use your pings. If there's a burster approaching your teammates that you can see it, ping it. Help them identify it. Help them be aware of the threat. Now, what I will say, though, is if you're one of these people that has bound ping to left mouse button, you need your fucking head checking. You spam so much useless information and the annoying ping sound. Don't do that.
Lots of oh, farts behind. Two cells.
Whoa, what the?
So you can see here that we had a trigger. So Zaki pushed forward, he tripped the trigger,
Yeah.
and I will pause here. and the trigger is a Beast of Nurgle. Now, there's no hope of ledging the Beast of Nurgle, like I said, so we pull back, we pile damage onto her, and we just get rid of her. Now, Keg has chosen to retreat this way. I think it's because he was blocked off by gas. Just be aware, guys, look how open this entire railing walkway thing is, right? Don't path this way if you can avoid it. It's super dangerous. If there are guns lining the top, if there are guns up here, or if someone lands a firebomb on this railing, the man's fucked. Now, he's an excellent player with excellent game sense, so there's no worries in this situation. I just want to call out, try to avoid pathing down this railway. It's railing. It's not a good place, okay?
It's a net somewhere.
Oh, all right. Old man still got reflexes. That was a fucking lovely shot. I'm pretty sure I threw that crack into nothing. But anyway, we move on. Oh, one other thing I want to mention. Guys, as someone who has played too much Darktide, but very, very little vets, your crack grenades will stick to carapace armor, right? So they'll magnetize the carapace. So there's not that much aiming required with trying to crack down Kara. Just do note that with the armored poxhounds, so the carapace armored dogs, with the fucking vanguard shields, these guys can steal your crack grenades, yeah? It'll stick to them instead of a crusher. It can happen. But cracks don't automatically stick to unyielding, yeah? So you need to aim them. It took me way too long before I realized that I was just whiffing cracks into the fucking ether when I was throwing them at bosses. You actually have to aim them. Be aware of that. I'm sure everyone knew that but me, but I'm just saying it. Yeah, that was embarrassing. Okay, I will talk about the section ahead here, just once I turn around. I do want to know though, look how many specials have just spawned. That was like a bunch of bombers, a bunch of dogs, a couple of trappers, all that kind of shit. With this section, you need to watch your forward, but also you need to watch your six. A lot of stuff will spawn behind you, including hordes, okay? So keep an eye forward and keep an eye back. Now this, guys, this is a dangerous bridge. Yeah, super, super dangerous. You also have a high likelihood of having a demon host spawn on this bridge. Again, I'm only giving you some vibe advice just based on what I've experienced here. So Denise likes to sleep here, or she likes to sleep there. You will often find a host here. The only real cover that we have is this tank right here. Okay, so your natural hold point is here. Don't get too greedy, right? Even if you want to advance, just hold here, pull what's ahead of you, deal with what's ahead of you, and then push forward when it's safe, okay? This is always the best place, and if we get pressured, our next move is to literally turn around, run down the ramp we came down, and back to the original hold points. Now, I mentioned it at the very start of this section, however, the next respawn point is just to my right-hand side behind this tank here, so it's just there. So again, if someone goes down, I say goes down, someone dies in this section, we pull all the way back to where the med station was, and we can then collect them right here. Just another bit of advice as well. Yeah, so there's Denise. I'm going to pause here because it's a bit of a clearer view. You can see Zark's seen and pinged Denise, so the host is right here. This archway, this is our next trigger point. So you go through the archway, a little bit up the stairs, we're just in this section, and that's the boss trigger. Look how much shit is coming towards us, and we have a host. There's also quite a lot of ranged enemies. You can see gunners all over the place. There is no benefit to pushing into this. Absolutely none. We run the risk of triggering Denise. We also run the risk of shoving forward, trying to fight the melee, and then getting pinched from behind. So we choose to use, or we should choose to use the cover that's here. Also call out, in case you missed it, there is a big crate here just behind the tank. Obviously, you don't see it unless you turn around or you know it's there. Just be aware that it's there. This archway, as I mentioned, the next boss trigger is just past the archway. For some reason, guys, sound breaks in this archway. So bursters will run through and they'll jump at you, making zero sound. Be aware of that. That adds an extra element of spice, and it's another reason why you shouldn't just hold this section, right? Because for some reason, there are a couple of areas in the game where sound breaks. This is one of them. Just while we're clearing stuff, so again, talking about target prioritization, we have some scary melee elites on the way, so I want to be throwing cracks,
Hot potato.
but I want to be killing bombers, snipers, and disablers.
Your grenade in the
Yeah,
flank.
those are my my primaries.
Throwing a hot potato.
Why not?
First, I think right sides.
Whoa, that dog went. Fucking.
No, just while we're
I like what they did with the
screwed.
dog.
Ooh,
Careful,
okay.
don't shoot
So
that gunner.
someone has woken up Denise, so she's now in her activated state. The lovely goth chick is no longer sleeping peacefully. She's now fucking angry, right? Someone's woken her up and she's pissed. The next instance of damage on her will trigger her. So we actually have two options here. If we had a book Zeal, I would actually probably do this. Depends on the state of the game. But the ramp we talked about where the original trigger was for the Beast of Nurgle that we dealt with, we can ledge her there, right? So if this is super dangerous, I mean, conventional wisdom here, 95% of the time, just path around her and go round. However, if we feel for whatever reason that, she gets triggered by mistake or we just want to get rid of her and we had a book Zeal, we could pull back to that ramp, pull her and just send her off into the voids, all right? That's the benefit of having something like a book Zeal or RB impact nades. Book Zeal is always the easiest because it's the most consistent. You deliver lots of pulses of stagger, so you can very easily ledge things, right? Everything else is a bit more risk, But what I wanted to call out is, even though there's a sniper here, there's a gunner here, I use a revolver, guys, and that means that my shots over-penetrate. If I aim at this sniper now and I shoot it, because Denise is right behind him, I will trigger her, right? So I almost took a shot at a gunner before, but thankfully I pulled the shot, so I didn't shoot, just because I saw the fact that I would hit Denise behind her. Plasma guns are very, very prone to this. Be aware, if your weapon's over pen, be aware of what's behind the target you're shooting, specifically for demon hose, for rituals, that kind of stuff. I've sort of gone at a bit of an offset, so the bullet wouldn't go all the way through and hit Denise, and I've taken the shot, which is absolutely fine. In addition, guys, some ranged weapons, like the phosphor pistol, they deal like a small AoE around the actual projectile, yeah? So it's not just one hard bullet. Be aware, you shoot too close, you'll pull her.
Alright. We're going to pull everything back. We've got a Keith first.
So we have a time-based trigger here for a chaos spawn. So look, there's no benefit in pushing. Just keep thinning out the herd, keep dealing what we're dealing with. Look at the boys watching our back, which is amazing, but Keith is behind us, so we see that early. Zarky gets over here and ledges the boss like an absolute pro. There's a good example of how to ledge something with the RB.
I think it's the fire. Yeah. Oh, guys, these sword bastards without perfect strike. He's behind the bomber.
Who's behind the bomber?
The bomber.
Okay, so I've been recording this for an hour and a half. I've definitely rambled far too much in this one.
I know.
Yeah, okay. Need to be aware of that for next time, I guess.
We are running low on ammo. This is not great.
You're shooting too much.
Oh my.
Are you shooting too much?
Oh, ammo. Nom, nom.
Oh, I was scared about shouting then.
So what we're doing here is we're essentially just pulling what's ahead of us. We're doing what I said ideally we don't want to do, which is hold the arch. And look, we have pressure from behind, so our first move here should be to pull back, guys. We don't want to be holding that with a buggy area with a host to our left. Just move back slightly.
I dodged into that.
That's best. I'm not being funny, guys, but the revolver is by far the best weapon on bet because it's so fun. It's the only one I want to use.
Okay, do you hear this, man?
Can you touch the trigger, please, boys?
It is a
I'll tell
fun
you what I'll
gun,
touch.
And just on that point, guys, so that is the trigger. So we've gone up to the stairs, we tripped the captain. There's quite a lot of range pressure here. So look, if we weren't under a lot of pressure, holding where we are now is not bad. Or even pushing forward.
Club boy.
Nice.
Someone went flying there.
Oh, I just threw my crack into the floor.
That was exceptional. Oh, good shot.
Thanks, bro.
Alright, again, you can see just some target prioritization in action there, right? Yes, there's a captain here. Yes, there's trash mobs. I'm not under immediate pressure, so I try and take out the sniper, the bomber, the flamer. Yeah? Those are your HVTs. The disablers and dangerous DPS specials. But again, just to be dead clear, guys, that's everyone's target priority. And don't get me wrong, there's nuance to this. If I'm playing a break the line RB and, you know, I see a bunch of lasers and I see some tox bombers, but also there's 5 crushers right in front of my team's face and I have my ability up, I'm staggering those crushers. That's my forte, that's my primary. But if I can, I'm pulling out my ranged weapon and I'm trying to take out those specials too. The game in Havoc 40, especially in its current state, the way it's been for the last couple of months, there is zero chance that one person in isolation can kill everything that the game throws at you. There's just no chance. So be aware of that. Try and help them out. It's a shared responsibility at the end of the day.
I have more ammo than you actually.
Yikes.
Oh, beautiful.
Boys, after the game, I need 2 minutes to put the shopping away because it's all sitting in the kitchen.
Oh
my god!
Fuck's sake.
Okay. Yeah. So in this section, right? So we had a cutscene. Guys, this lift is fucking shit. You want to position yourself, firstly, as we did, to be fair to us, either side of this door, way behind cover, because I've been sniped during that cutscene, right? Additionally, when the cutscene ends, bursters just fucking creep up, they wait behind this, and the second the cutscene ends, they yeet themselves through the doorway. Not fun. Everyone should be ready. We weren't, guys. This is just a little bit of a lapse of concentration, maybe a little bit of hubris, whatever you want to call it. I also didn't have voice of command ready. I think it came off cooldown literally as the burster, just before the burster detonated. If I was faster, if I was a better vet, I might have been able to save the team, but I was slightly too slow. Look at that. Well, Keg and I got fucked. The other two guys were fine. But if you stand behind cover and everyone's actively pushing, you won't get hit by that burster. Ideally, though, you have voice of command up or you have taunt. So even if it means just waiting 5 seconds before getting into the lift and pushing the button, do that. This is just horseshit. I think Fat Shark needs to fix this.
Too late. I'm going to drop a med right sideways.
That was in my... Oh my
Mate,
god.
it was in your... I know.
Everything just fell out my arsehole.
Fucking hell, okay.
That's not good.
He's an
Keg. You
absolute
just
wonder
turned
of a
30.
human, but my lord, what a thing to say. So the reason I've dropped the med where I did, so literally where I dropped the med, that is the respawn point. So if anyone dies in this event, that's where they pop up. And obviously we got absolutely butt fucked by that burster, so we needed the heal. And this section, guys, look, this video has already been longer than I expected it to be. I think I've maybe been a little bit too free with with pausing the game and sharing thoughts, but either way, it's done now. We go with it. So the way this section works is there are 3 layers of a chaotic barrier, the green thing that you see. There are a bunch of cultists, so it's 2 left side, 2 middle, 2 right side. You kill the cultist, the barrier goes down, and then you deal with the next layer. And where I'm stood now, the left side, that's where a lot of the mobs will spawn. They'll also spawn up top, and they'll drop down as they're doing now. We tend to like holding the right side just because you're under less pressure from enemies. But essentially, look, move together, deal with the cultists, take them down one by one. if you have a better ranged weapon than I have,
I see.
you can actually just stand in the mid and shoot the cultists left and right. So like a plasma gun or a Hive Scum's needle pistol can take them down very easily without you actually having to go and do it.
Reaper top
You
left.
see that Reaper that was pinged?
Top bomber there.
That's the problem.
Where's Vivek?
Okay, that fucker needs to die. He's causing all sorts of mayhem. You can see there's actually, what, like 3 Reapers up top? Again, that's dangerous.
Great miss.
We need to deal with that.
Where's the sniper?
Just trying to get in.
It's a bunch of Reapers and traps left side.
I'm trying, but oh, the mutie and the
Right side's
flame.
done.
Oh,
Fuck
and the
this.
Zarki's gone down, he got
3
muted,
seconds.
and then he just got hosed down by a Reaper. I have Revive Shell in literally just coming up there, so we can obviously recover him. That Reaper, I need to shoot him, right? I know I'm picking bombers and the like, but that Reaper needs to die. That's a nice shot.
I got him.
And there he goes.
Yeah, this gun's great, man. This is. I struggle to say it's cracked. It's not. It's awful, but it's great.
I probably agree with that sentiment. The revolver is both great and awful.
That's why
Like I said, I wish it just had a little bit of a tune-up. Honestly, Fat Shark would really benefit from just focusing on improving the game state. So we're talking here bugs, performance, adding more maps, please, please and thank you. Releasing the chains they have on Havoc. Guys,
Shredder.
how they think it's okay to have so few maps and mods in the pool for 2 weeks at a time is just insane to me. But then an overall balance pass. There's so many cool weapons in this game that just unfortunately either under or overperform. They need to level the playing field
I
here.
feel like that's the universe telling you to wind your neck in.
That's my 2026 wish list, not gonna lie. Give us performance improvements, give us more maps, fucking overhaul the Havoc system so it's just fucking less restrictive and we have more agency, and rebalance, Fat Shark, rebalance, please. So now that the barriers are down, we just need to take out the VATs and then jobs are good in. I will call out one thing though, as each barrier goes down, the game tends to spawn quite a large wave of elites and mobs at you, so obviously just be aware. You take down a barrier, be prepared to fight.
GG, boys. Well played. That was fucking tough. That was arduous. Holy. Shredder.
Alright. GG's indeed. That was well played all round. Yeah, it's a tough map with some very tough modifiers. And I think that we did really fucking well. So as per last time, guys, some closing thoughts and a quick glance at the scoreboard. As always, we have a quick look at, well, firstly, ammo taken. You can see I was trying to pick specials. I was a proper ammo goblin, but my team were aware of that, guys. I'm running a revolver. It's not a very ammo efficient gun. Damage taken across the board is pretty good. Not bad at all. We then look at downs and deaths. So across the team, look, there's quite a few downs this run, but like I say, it was a tough map. We also had a couple of sections where people were AFK and stuff like that, but generally speaking, this is manageable. We then look at the total damage dealt. Again, ignore Keg because, you know, he's playing a burn psyker. He's a class unto his own. Generally speaking, damage output was strong. Again, though, for vets, a lot of my damage came from the crack grenades, you know. I'm looking at the split between melee and ranged. I mean, even with a more range-focused build, still putting out as much melee damage as our RB, right? But he's running... Was he running dog? He wasn't running dog. Interesting. Okay. Either way, it's a decent mix here. Quick shout-out to Corvus, though, who did a significant amount of damage this game. Like, a lot. And then also, I personally like to see total number of elites, total number of specials, right? And the damage dealt into respective types. Again, ignore Keg. Yeah, he's a burn psyker. So I killed 175 specials with a revolver is not bad. 136 elites with over half a milli damage into them, which is strong. And then looking at bosses, my damage was a little bit poor here, but again, heavy sword, revolver. Shout out to Corvus here with the Cord Claw. I mean, 0.5 mil of boss damage, just tearing their arseholes off. That's pretty substantial. However, the context here is that Claw is a very, very strong ability. But all in all, guys, this is intensely long. I apologize. This is probably fucking, you know, 2/3 as long as I wanted it to be. 2/3? An extra, well, however I want to. I completely faffed it up. Guys, this was far longer than I wanted it to be. However, look, we covered quite a lot. I hope it was useful. If it's too long, tell me, and obviously I'll trim these down going forward. Much love, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and all the best.